Ooh, I got a good one for you today. Today we're going to take a deeper dive and take a look at the NYX Z1 from Acedeck. Welcome to the Vapor Trail channel. I'm Tony, and yeah, a deeper dive. That's what we're going to be doing today on the NYX Z1 from Acedeck. Now, NYX is actually named after a Greek goddess. Yeah, she was the goddess of the night, and I think somewhat of a matronly god to the earth. If that last part is true, this board is anything but matronly. She's a beast, that's for sure. I've already done the unboxing, assembly, and first impressions on this board, and I highly recommend you check that out. The link is popping up right here, because there's a lot going on with this board, so yeah, I definitely needed to break it into two different videos. Spoiler alert, I really love this board. It is nice. Now, I live in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. The weather pretty much stinks during the winter. I mean, you either have wind, heavy wind too, like 25, 35 miles per hour, rain, cold, or a combination of all three. So getting out and riding is a bit of a challenge. And any day that it's nice out there, I am definitely out riding. So I've now got enough time on this board to give you my full impressions on this and, good review on it. A couple of things right off the bat. This is not your standard electric skateboard. This is more of a mountain board. This is a board where you've got a huge battery pack in the middle of it rather than on the bottom because, you're going to be going off-road and stuff like that. You don't want it to get banged up. Plus, it allows you to have a much larger battery pack, as you can see in this video right here, where I explain one of the main differences between this and a regular board and why you need such big motors. Now, the motors on this board being as big as they are, some might say, well, why do you need that big of motor? Well, the thing is, because we're, running with a big battery pack in between your legs, you're not going to be turning your legs like this and kick pushing to get going. So you need lots of power just to get you going. Look at that. So yes, it's definitely different. I don't have bindings on mine, but a lot of people recommend that you put bindings on these types of boards because they turn differently. It's not like you're going to get those nice sharp turns that you're going to get on a double kingpin truck or even a regular RKP truck or TKP truck for that matter. So bindings would definitely help because it gives you more leverage when you're trying to use your feet to turn the board. Now, when I first got on this board, I was like, man, these red bushings that are on here, they call them power blocks, I think is what they're calling them. But the board does come with two different durometers. You got 75A and 85A on the durometer on those. The red ones being the harder ones, the white ones being the softer ones. Now, some people will replace those front ones. I did. I put the white ones in there for a while. I didn't love it. I like the stability of those red bushings that are on there. And I will tell you that at first it was hard to turn on this thing, but after using it for a while, putting some miles on it and doing a lot of carving and stuff, I'm able to turn pretty well on that. Sharp turns can be questionable, but if you're someplace where you can actually just go off-road and get back onto the track, you're good to go. Now, I am looking at some power blocks from MBS mountain boards. The orange ones and the yellow ones have been highly recommended on some of the skateboard forums, so I'll probably get some of those and try them out. But Acedeck did tell me don't put the white ones in the front and the back because it'll be too soft. Maybe just put the white ones in the front. That's what I did. I tried it. I put the red ones back in there. So if you're used to standard electric skateboards, this one definitely takes some getting used to. You're not doing the kick push to go. You just stand on it and go. So yeah, you're going to need that extra power of the motors. And if you're used to standard trucks, you're going to have to get used to these a little bit. But after a few rides, you're like, oh yeah, this is great. Super, super stable, especially with those red bushings in there. Highest I've gotten up to is around 30 miles per hour. At that speed, I very quickly glanced at the remote, but yeah. The board can get up to 35 miles per hour with a 220-pound rider on it. I weigh about 195, but I tell you, I'll probably never get that fast on this board. It does have 4 modes. Speed modes on this are L, E, S, and S+. In L, you can go 12.5 miles per hour, E, 24 miles per hour, S, 31 miles per hour, and S plus 37 miles per hour, which 40 miles per hour on a skateboard, that's fast. And honestly, just way more than I need. Now their spec'd out range, and I think they said with a 220-pound rider is about 34, 35 miles. I got very close to that, about 27 miles off of one charge. So I'm pretty happy with that. And a lot of that was off-road, which I'm sure is taking a little bit more of a toll on your battery life because you're just really going at it, But like most electric skateboards, it does have regenerative braking, so you can use that if you're, running low on battery, getting close to home, go down a hill, use those brakes. That's never going to give you a whole lot of power, but it does help. So battery on this is a 14S5P battery. They use Molacell 21700 batteries in this, and I use those batteries for other purposes, and I can tell you those are some of the best batteries that there are out there, so that's very nice. Some of the stuff I've read on social media, people don't really love the charging cable. Personally, I really do, because man, that thing just snaps in there nice and solid and snaps right back out. Just make sure you grab it by the cuff instead of the cable itself, but I really like it. I'll just tell you right off the bat, Probably the one thing that I'm like, on this board is the little plug that covers the charging port on the board. It's like just a little rubber plug. I mean, you could have put something on there, a little screw-on thing or something like that. Anything to make it a little bit better, especially because this is a mountain board and you're probably going to be going off-road and stuff, and it'd just be nice to have that covered. That's really the only thing that I can say is, I don't want to use the word con, but I would do it better. So as I've mentioned, the trucks on this are much different than a standard electric skateboard. They're very similar to what you might find on an MBS mountain board or a LaCroix, you know, that kind of thing. They're called channel truck design, and the trucks are 17.5 inches wide. Now that is a wide truck. You know, when I've seen this thing in pictures and even in videos, it doesn't have the same impact as when you see it in person. It's big. It is a big, big board. Definitely gets looks though when you're on the streets, and it's a conversation starter for sure. They are custom CNC'd 7075 aluminum. With the white bushings in there, it's a little bit squishier and maybe a little bit more maneuverable. I just prefer the red ones because no matter what speed on that thing or what terrain I'm on, I feel super stable on this thing. It does have a front guard on there. It's kind of like a bumper. I use it as a handle because there's a lot of times where if I'm, you know, in a tighter space and I just am not going to be able to make the turn, I'll get off the board, pick it up by the handle, turn it around, and put it in the right position. The other thing is, this board is heavy, man. Slightly over 45 pounds. So picking it up and carrying it, it's not quite the same as one of your standard boards. So it's a lot easier just to pick up that handle and pull it. Now, I did mention bindings earlier, real quick on that. They don't currently offer them on their website, but the board is actually pre-drilled for bindings for whichever, you know, foot style you like to go, goofy or standard. Most people are putting MBS bindings on it. I'm gonna hold off on bindings for now. Now let's talk about this deck. This deck is super nice. It's got enough flex to it. It's about a medium flex to it. It's not super flexy. It's more flexy when I'm off-road. I can tell you I can feel that. And it along with the pneumatic wheels on it, it definitely dampens the road a little bit, and it feels really good. Materials for the deck, 2 plies on each of these: bamboo, maple, carbon fiber, and fiberglass. All that neatly sandwiched in there. It's a very comfortable board, and I feel very secure on this thing. I don't feel like it's going to have any issues. Now, aside from doing the Revel Kit DIY type thing, I haven't done a full DIY yet, and I'd like to do that, but this board is very close to what those DIY boards are all about, how they're put together and everything else, and that makes it nice because it's easier to maintain this thing. If you had to do something with the battery, that battery pack on the top, it's metal and carbon fiber, just take off the top of you'd be able to maintain that and service it a lot easier. And your ESC, which is a custom FOC ESC, is right there on the back of the board. You just take off some bolts and you're able to get right to that. If you needed to replace that, it'd be really easy. And of course, even the motors, the cables from the motors going right to that. So it's not some kind of take off the grip tape, take all the stuff out there. Everything is crammed in there real tightly. It's going to be really easy to work on if you have to. And speaking of the tires, 8-inch tires on this, they are really nice. And custom CNC hubs or wheels on these, they look stellar. And they even, little details like even the nut that you use to lock your wheels on, they're custom aluminum nuts. Very cool. Now, as far as these tires go, I have a love-hate relationship with pneumatic wheels because, well, I live in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. It's a beach area where we don't have really nice boardwalks and roads and stuff. It's kind of more of a rural beach area. If you're not familiar, check it out, the Outer Banks of North Carolina, Kill Devil Hills, Nag's Head, and that kind of thing. But we have little pieces of cactus and these little things called sand spurs that I've actually had these little tiny things pop a tire before. And on my last ride, I picked up a bunch of them. Here, check it out. Well, this is going to be a good test. You see that right there? This thing is the enemy. These are sand spurs, and somewhere along the line, I picked up a bunch of them. This will be a good test for these wheels and see if they're puncture proof for the little things like that. So there's another one there. Ouch. Boy, those things, when they get stuck, they get stuck. Seems like I picked them all up on the front tire. So let's see if we have any flats by the time I get home. The good news is when I got home, no flat tires. So the tires on these are nice and sturdy as well, able to hold out for small puncture type items. The motors on this are 6890. They can put out 6,000 watts each. I will probably never reach or even need that. But you know what, like I said, if you're standing on this board and you're on any kind of an incline or whatever, you're gonna need that extra power to get yourself going. And this board launches, man, even in the E mode. L mode is pretty mellow. But an E mode, that's pretty much, I call it every day. I don't know if they call it economy or what the deal is, but I think the S is sport and the S Plus is Sport Plus. I've ridden it on S mode. S Plus mode, I only put it on there to do some tests. There was one of those radar readers on the street, which I filmed, but you can't see the number on the actual display. One of the things that really attracted me to this board, aside from all that other awesomeness that I talked about, is the gear drive on this. You know, I prefer belt drive over hub, and that's what I've had up until now. I've really only snapped a couple belts in my entire time. Mainly because I maintain the board and I check them and everything before I do my ride, but you will eventually snap a belt, or you can get rocks and twigs in there between the pulley and the belt, and that can be a problem. Not only that, they can be pretty loud if you want to be a little bit less conspicuous, although on this board you're not going to be less conspicuous, but you know what I mean. This board is super quiet, and one of the things I like about it is it kind of sounds like a TIE fighter. You know what I mean? It's like, I love that, man. It is, the gear drive on this thing is fantastic. It has a steel pinion gear and then a POM or POM slave gear. The thing is, okay, some people are like, I don't know about that POM, it's plastic. Well, it is a plastic. POM is, well, the commercial name is Delrin, and Delrin is a nice strong material that they use in car parts and manufacturing machinery parts because it's heat resistant, it's strong, and it's overall a very good material. And while some people have said, I'm afraid that thing will shatter inside the gearbox, I haven't seen that ever happen with them, so, you know, a lot of them are made like that. Not only that, it's quieter. That's one of the reasons why it's quieter. If you have steel on steel, it's always going to be louder. But these gearboxes and motors together are very heavy. That makes the backside of this board a really heavy little beast. I mean, you got to pick this thing up and you're like, whoa, man, geez, okay, that's a board right there. I think we talked about the ESC already. It's a custom FOC ESC. Same one that they have on the Stella S1 and their Aries X1. It's nice because you can tune it in and fine tune the thing, change some of the settings directly on the remote. You don't have to plug it into a computer or something like that. And it already comes with a ton of information on the display, which I actually showed in the unboxing video you can check out up there. And this one's kind of important because not everybody is the same size. If you're a heavier rider, this board is really good for you. The max load on this is 330 pounds. Most of them max out at under 250 pounds, like, hey, the max load is 250, that kind of thing, so that's a good thing. And one of the biggest things is customer service. If you've been in this community at all, or you've done your research, you're looking to buy your first one or something like that, you'll probably hear a lot of horror stories about customer service. Most of the companies are in China, and just dealing with a Chinese company can be very difficult. Acedeck is also based in China, but they have warehouses in the US and other countries, and they do have customer service based in those other countries. Their customer service has been super fast on every claim, you know, on the social media stuff that I've seen. If somebody says, oh, I got a problem, and they contact them, they take care of it right away. And to me, that's worth its weight in gold, man. I mean, if you buy your skateboard and you're like, oh, this is great, a month later, it craps out on you, and it takes 2 months just to go through the process of getting somebody to deal with you and then sending you a part, and then you've got to fix it yourself. Yeah, so customer service with the Acedeck, top notch, man, and that's a huge deal to me. Especially if you're spending $2,000 to $3,000 on an electric skateboard, you want to make sure you're going to be able to get your service. So I know that's a lot. I want to share a little bit more footage with you of me riding, and then we'll come back and wrap it all up. You know, when you get a nice day out, you take a ride, and this is called the Woods Road, or the Nag's Head Woods Road. It's mainly used only as a fire road these days, I should say, and there's a couple of houses on it, but it's blocked from one side, and it's about, I don't know, 2-3 miles long. It's such a beautiful ride. And on this board, man, I feel completely secure taking this ride. It's awesome. You know, it is just so beautiful out here, and if I didn't have a board like this, I wouldn't be able to enjoy it. I mean, look at where I'm at. Jeez. Oh man, it is nice. The thing is, all right, there's a lot of sand in this part of the area here. I do live at the beach, so running through some sand, little skidded, no problem. So yes, the Acedeck NYX or NYX Z1, fantastic board. I really love it. I didn't know if I'd be into a mountain board or anything like that, but it just something about this board kept drawing me in. Those sales around Christmas and New Year's, actually there's still a sale going on right now. It was just too much for me. I had to do it. And when I got this thing, the box was just so giant. I was like, oh, wow, what have we here? This board is a lot of fun. I feel super secure and stable on it. My wife, she doesn't love it. She says, that big battery pack in the middle, I'm afraid it's gonna mess you up. You're gonna fall off this board or something. Look, it's the same as every other board, except for on this one, you're not gonna do any kick pushing at all. You're just gonna get on it and go. There's no room for your foot to turn and do all that stuff, but it doesn't matter. There's plenty of room on there for your feet where they should be. My love-hate relationship with pneumatics is quenched with this one because I really don't have any problems with these, and I've been over a lot of terrain on these wheels. Overall, this board is fantastic, and if you're even considering it, I would definitely recommend it. Acedeck had a killer year last year with 3 new releases as a new company, and just they're doing really, really well, and I can't wait to see what they're gonna do next. Well, I wanna thank you so much for your support here on the channel. It's very humbling to me. It's been around since 2013. I've always covered the things that I have a lot of passion for, and about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, got my first electric skateboard and was like, oh man, got an electric bike after that, so I'm really, really into that, and I've got this electric scooter I'm gonna be covering from Ultron. It's the X3. This is not your sister's scooter. This thing is a big scooter that could go up to 55 miles per hour. So I'm really looking forward to that. And if there's anything PEV related that you'd like me to take a look at, well, let me know down in the comments. I will soon be covering some electric guitar stuff and more. So yeah, anything that's my passion, that's what I want to share with you here on the channel. If you like what you see, hit the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, there's a red subscribe button down there and notification bell. If you click both of those, you get notifications when I upload new videos. There is also a thank you button down there, a thanks button. If you want to send me a thanks, you can go ahead and do that. And I've got links down there for my social media if you want to give me a follow on those. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We'll catch you next time on the Vapor Trail channel.